Why you must listen. Welcome to my channel, English Audiobooks. Do you ever feel stuck in English conversations because you can't catch every word? Today I'll show you why mastering listening is the secret to speaking confidently, and how you can start right now. Comment below. Do you struggle to understand native speakers? Chapter 1. I am a student of English, and listening changed my life. At first I thought listening was just hearing words. I sat on a London train and heard two strangers speaking. I did not understand much. I felt lost. My heart raced. I wished I could join their talk, but I did not know the right words. Then I remembered my teacher's advice. Listen first, speak later. I closed my eyes and tuned my mind to their voices. I caught simple words like morning, coffee, and work. Each word felt like a small victory. I opened my eyes and smiled. That moment was a top moment, when I knew listening could unlock my speech. You can feel it too. Listening is like building a house. Every sound you hear is a brick. You need thousands of bricks to build strong walls. When you listen to English every day, you collect bricks. You collect sounds, rhythms, and patterns. Your brain stores them without hard effort. Later, when you speak, you use those bricks. You use the sounds you have heard. You use the rhythm you know. This is the hidden power of listening. Research shows that learners who listen 20 minutes every day improve twice as fast as those who don't. Imagine learning twice as fast with only 20 minutes of listening. It feels almost like magic, but it is real. You can start tonight. Open a short audio lesson. Play it slowly. Close your eyes. Focus on every word. Feel how your mouth wants to copy the sounds. That feeling is a spike, a moment when your brain lights up. Each time you feel that spark, your confidence grows. You think, yes, I can do this. And you keep listening. Listening also trains your brain to spot meaning in context. When you hear a sentence, your brain guesses the missing words. It fills the gaps. You learn new vocabulary without a dictionary. You learn grammar in action, not in a book. For example, one day I heard, "I have seen that before." I did not know "have seen" then, but I listened again and again. I guessed it meant something happened in the past and still matters now. Later, I used "have seen" in my own sentences. I felt proud. That was a top moment, when a phrase I first heard came out of my own mouth. You can create your own top moments too. All you need is simple practice. Start with short dialogues, use a free app, or watch a children's story. Choose something you like. Enjoy the topic. When you listen to something you enjoy, your brain works without effort. It absorbs more. When you listen to a story about a cat, you smile. You stay focused. You repeat small sentences under your breath. You feel curious. This curiosity pulls you forward. It keeps you watching and listening. That is the spike, an urge to learn more. And the best part is, you do not need perfect understanding. You only need to catch key words. Later, the words you heard will come back. They will show you the path to speaking. Listening also builds your accent. When you tune your ear to native speakers, you hear how they link words. You hear their melody. English is a musical language. When you copy its tune, you sound more natural. I remember the first time I shadowed a short clip. I played it sentence by sentence. I spoke along with the speaker. My voice matched their pace. My accent changed slightly. My friends noticed. They said, "You sound better." That was a top moment, when shadowing made my voice more like English. You can try shadowing tonight. Pick a 1-minute clip. Play the first sentence. Pause. Repeat it. Play the next. Repeat again. Do this 5 times. You will feel the flow of English in your mouth. That flow is the heartbeat of language. Listening is not a passive skill. It is your secret weapon. It transforms confusion into confidence. It turns noise into meaning. It builds your vocabulary, your grammar, and your accent without heavy study. Most learners waste time memorizing lists of words, but words stick best when you hear them in real sentences. Real sentences live in your brain like stories. Stories spark emotion. Emotion ignites memory. So listen to stories, listen to songs, listen to talks on topics you love. Feel each word. Let curiosity guide you. When you listen every day, you collect thousands of bricks. Soon, you will have a strong house of language. In the next chapter, we will explore how to turn mere hearing into active listening that boosts your brain power. But remember this first lesson. Listening lights the path to speaking. Start today, and you will speak tomorrow. Chapter 2. I am a student of English, and I used to think listening was just hearing words, but I learned that hearing and active listening are very different. One day, I sat in a quiet cafe and played an English podcast at low volume. I thought I was practicing listening, but I realized I was only hearing. Hearing is when sound reaches your ears. Active listening is when your mind reaches out to catch meaning. When I only heard the podcast, my mind drifted. I watched people walk by. I read messages on my phone. I thought I was learning, but I was not. Then I tried active listening. I closed my eyes. I sat up straight. I pressed play again. I paused after each sentence. I repeated it in my mind. I asked, "What did I just hear?" I answered myself. I imagined the words as pictures. This simple change made my heart beat faster. That was a top moment, when I felt true focus for the first time. My brain felt alive. I felt a spike of excitement. My ears were awake, and my mind was working. From that day, I learned that active listening means giving your full attention. It means catching details, not only big ideas. It means engaging your curiosity. When you hear someone say, "I'm going to the market tomorrow," active listening makes you ask, "Why is she going? What will she buy?" This little question makes your brain light up. It makes each sentence a puzzle you want to solve. I started doing a simple exercise. I chose a short story in my app. I played 1 paragraph. I wrote down 3 questions. Who? What? Why? I paused. I answered my own questions in my notebook. Then I played the paragraph again. I noticed new words and sounds. I noticed how the speaker paused before market. I heard the rising tone at the end of tomorrow. My ears learned the melody of English speech. My eyes and hands wrote notes. My brain connected the sounds to ideas. This was active listening at work. After this exercise, I felt proud. I thought, I really understood. That was another top moment, when I knew my effort had paid off. The spike of confidence pushed me to try more. I realized active listening builds a mental bridge between hearing and speaking. When you bridge that gap, you can speak with more clarity. You know which words to use because your mind has already met them in context. I also discovered that active listening helps you learn new words more naturally. Instead of pausing your favorite song every 2 seconds, I learned to scroll back only when I felt lost. I played a line until I felt its rhythm. I sang it in my mind. Then I moved on. This strategy kept my focus strong. My mind did not wander. My enjoyment stayed high. That was a spike of joy. Learning felt fun, not a chore. My teacher once said, "Listening is like shopping at a market. You don't buy everything you see. You pick what you need." Active listening is the same. You pick out the phrases that matter. You pick out the ideas you like. You leave the rest for later. This approach made my studies efficient. I no longer wasted time on boring topics. I chose stories about travel, music, and food, topics I love. When I listened to a travel vlog, I paused to note adventure, journey, and discover. I imagined myself on the road. I felt excitement. I smiled. That was a spike of motivation. Learning felt like a dream. Over time, I noticed my speaking improved. When I sat with friends, I could join their conversation. I did not worry about finding words. I had heard them before. I just let them flow. Active listening had prepared me. I learned that active listening also trains your memory. When you fully engage with each sentence, you create stronger memory traces. Your brain links sound, meaning, and emotion. You remember better. I tested myself by listening to a 5-minute dialogue without notes. I spoke the dialogue back from memory. I got 90% of it right. I was amazed. That was a top moment, when I realized my memory had grown stronger through listening. You can try this memory test too. Listen to a short clip once. Pause. Speak it back. You will feel the power of active listening. Finally, active listening helps you build listening stamina. At first, 20 minutes felt long. My ears hurt. My mind wandered. But after I practiced active listening techniques, pausing, asking questions, noting new words, I could focus for an hour without fatigue. My listening stamina grew like a muscle. And with it, my confidence in real conversations soared. I remember the first time I joined an English study group online. Before I spoke, I listened to every person for 5 minutes. I took notes. I felt calm. Then I shared my ideas. I spoke without fear. Active listening had given me strength. In the end, I learned that hearing is like grazing on information. Active listening is like harvesting a field of ideas. Hearing only fills your ears. Active listening fills your mind, your heart, and your confidence. It turns noise into meaning. It makes every moment of listening count. If you choose to listen actively today, you will see your speaking skills bloom. You will feel the thrill of understanding. You will build connections with English speakers around the world. And each moment of focus will become a spike of progress, leading you step by step toward fluency. Chapter 3. I am a student of English, and I discovered that listening can teach grammar and vocabulary more effectively than any textbook. One morning, I sat by the Thames and played a short news clip about a festival. I thought I would only understand a few words, but I decided to listen closely for grammar patterns and new phrases. I heard has been celebrated, local artisans, and crowds gather. I paused the clip. I spoke the sentence aloud. The festival has been celebrated for centuries. My voice shook at first, then I tried again. This moment was a top moment when I realized I could hear grammar in real use, not just read rules. That spike of excitement pushed me to play the clip again. I wrote down has been celebrated and underlined for centuries. I asked myself, why use has been? What does it show? I answered, this form links the past to the present. It tells me the festival is still happening today. I smiled because my brain had unlocked a rule without opening a grammar book. Next, I noticed local artisans. I thought, this is two words together that name people. What other words appear after local? I rewound and listened to the host say, local dancers, local musicians. I heard the pattern, local plus plural noun. That was a spike of clarity, vocabulary and grammar working as one. I practiced local chefs, local students, local guides. My mouth formed the phrase easily because my ear had learned it in context. Over the next week, I made a habit. Every time I listened, I looked for one grammar pattern and one new phrase. I played a podcast about daily routines and heard used to wake up early, look forward to breakfast, and get used to the noise. I paused after each phrase. I repeated them. I asked, what does used to mean? I guessed, when something happened often in the past. Then I practiced. I used to study at night. I used to live in a dorm. I used to travel by bus. That practice created small spikes of confidence each time I used the phrase correctly. Meanwhile, I noticed that new vocabulary, dorm, burst, ancient, became easier to remember when I heard them in full sentences. I did not need a list of words. I needed stories. Stories give words a home. In one children's story, a prince climbed a tall tower. I heard climbed with a rising tone. I felt how the speaker's voice lifted. I spoke. He climbed the tower. My throat remembered the rising pitch. That was a top moment, when I felt the melody of the verb in my own voice. My teacher once said, grammar is the melody of language, and vocabulary is its soul. Listening showed me that melody and soul exist together. I learned that when you focus on one grammar pattern and one new phrase per listening session, your brain links form and meaning naturally. Later, when I speak, I use these patterns without thinking. Recently, I joined a study group and heard someone say, I'm looking forward to our next meeting. I had practiced look forward to in a podcast earlier. I understood instantly. I replied, yes, I'm looking forward to it too. My heart leapt. That spike of real conversation made me feel alive. I no longer stumbled. My listening practice had prepared me. To build this habit, I made a simple chart. Date, audio source, grammar focus, new phrase, spike note. I filled one line per day. I did not write long definitions. I wrote short notes. Episode 5, TED Talk, focus have been trying, phrase step by step, spike, felt rhythm. This chart reminded me of my progress. Each time I saw a new phrase appear in my own speaking, I smiled and added a star to that line. These stars became top moments on my learning journey. They spiked my motivation every morning. You can do the same. Choose any listening source, a song, a news clip, a conversation. Pick one grammar structure you hear. Pick one new phrase. Pause. Repeat. Note it down. Feel the excitement of discovery. Let that spike guide you. By practicing this way, you will build a strong foundation of grammar patterns and vocabulary you know by heart. Your speaking will flow naturally because your brain has already met these words and forms countless times. Listening becomes your personalized classroom, open 24 hours a day. No textbooks, no dull drills, only the real music of English. Try it tonight and see how your own top moments will light up tomorrow's speech. Chapter 4. I am a student of English, and I learned that practical listening strategies can turn confusion into confidence. At first, I thought I just had to play audio and wait for my brain to absorb it. But I discovered that simple tricks make every minute of listening count. One day I tried shadowing for the first time. I chose a 1-minute clip of a travel vlog. I pressed play, then immediately spoke each sentence right after the speaker. My heart pounded as I matched each word. That was a top moment, when I felt my mouth catch up to my mind. I repeated the clip 5 times. Each round felt easier. My pronunciation smoothed out. My voice grew bolder. That spike of energy convinced me shadowing could be a daily habit. Next, I tried chunking. I picked a children's story audio and broke it into small parts. I paused after every 2 sentences. I wrote down key phrases like magic castle, brave knight, and fierce dragon. I replayed each chunk until it felt natural in my mouth. Chunking kept my focus sharp. My mind did not wander. Each phrase became a brick in my language house. Then I discovered the silent script exercise. I played a 5-sentence dialogue without subtitles or transcript. I listened once for meaning, then I wrote what I thought I heard. My heart raced as I checked my notes. I had caught 80% of the words correctly. That was another top moment, when I saw my listening muscles at work. The silent script taught me to trust my ear. I also built a simple 7-day listening routine. Day 1 was shadowing a 1-minute clip. Day 2 was chunking a short story. Day 3 was silent script on a dialogue. Day 4 was listening to a song and noting 3 new words. Day 5 was tuning into a news clip and repeating 1 key sentence. Day 6 was speaking back a short podcast summary. Day 7 was chatting with a language partner and reflecting on what I heard. Each day I used free apps or real-life conversations. I kept my sessions to 20 minutes so I would stay fresh. Every session had a spike, a burst of focus or excitement that made me eager for the next day. To make these strategies stick, I challenged myself and you. Pick one of the methods tonight, try it for 5 minutes, and record your voice on your phone. Upload it and share in the comments below. Tell us what surprised you. That mini challenge will give you instant feedback and a rush of pride. When you use these practical strategies, shadowing, chunking, silent script, and a clear routine, you transform passive hearing into active learning. You build your listening stamina like a muscle. You collect bricks of language that form strong walls of understanding, and each top moment and spike you experience will light the path to real conversation. Try these tonight and feel how listening guides you to speak with confidence. Chapter 5. I am a student of English, and I learned that listening skills shine brightest when you turn them into real conversation. One evening in London, I sat in a small cafe with my notebook. I felt nervous. I had practiced shadowing and chunking all week, yet speaking to a stranger still felt hard. Then I met Anna, a friendly local who sat next to me. She asked, "Are you enjoying your stay?" I felt my heart race, but I listened closely to her question. I heard the rising tone at the end of stay. I caught the word enjoying. I paused. I repeated her question in my mind. Then I answered, "Yes, I am enjoying London very much." My voice was soft but steady. That was a top moment, when listening prepared me to speak without fear. I felt a spike of pride in my chest. Anna smiled and asked more questions. She said, "What places have you visited so far?" I heard her words clearly because I had practiced active listening strategies. I replied with confidence. We talked for 15 minutes without a script. Each time she spoke, I listened for meaning. Each time I spoke, I used phrases I had learned from my listening exercises. This conversation taught me that listening and speaking work hand in hand. When you listen well, you know which words to use because you have heard them in context. You know how to match the speaker's tone and pace. You build a bridge from hearing to talking. To help you cross this bridge, I use simple feedback loops. A feedback loop means listening to your partner, summarizing what you heard, and asking a question. For example, when Anna told me about her favorite museum, I said, "So you love the British Museum because of the ancient sculptures?" I spoke slowly and clearly. I paused for her answer. She nodded and added details. That loop gave me time to process her words. That loop gave her confidence I understood. That loop was another top moment, when listening turned into meaningful exchange. Each loop created a spike of connection. We both felt heard and understood. I also use paraphrasing. When my partner speaks, I rephrase their ideas in my own words. Anna said, "The food scene here is incredible." I replied, "You find many tasty dishes in London, right?" She laughed and said yes. Paraphrasing shows you listen deeply. It shows respect. It shows you care about meaning. And it makes your mind work actively. In addition, I ask open questions that invite more listening. Questions like, "Why did you choose that museum?" Or, "How do you usually spend your weekends?" These questions give me time to listen and plan my reply. They also encourage rich answers. When I asked Anna about her weekends, she described a jazz club she loved. I listened to the rhythm in her voice. I felt curious. I felt a spike of excitement at the idea of live music in London. That spark drove me to ask more. With each question, my speaking grew stronger because my listening guided me. Another key strategy is to record your conversations. With permission, I use my phone to record short chats. Later, I listen to myself. I note phrases I spoke well. I note moments where I stumbled. I replay those parts and shadow my own voice. This exercise links speaking back to listening. You listen to your own mistakes. You correct them in the next conversation. Each correction feels like a spike of achievement. It shows real progress. I remember the first time I recorded a short chat at a market stall. I was proud hearing my clear accent. I was thrilled hearing new phrases I had never spoken before. That was a top moment, when listening to myself built confidence. Finally, I learned that real conversation is a cycle of listening, speaking, and reflecting. After each chat, I take notes. I write the new words I heard. I write phrases I used well. I write ideas for better replies next time. These notes become my personal script for future talks. They remind me of top moments when I understood and spoke clearly. They remind me of spikes when I felt excited, and they guide me to set new goals. By turning listening into real conversation, you unlock your fluent voice. You build genuine connections. You feel the joy of exchange. You transform passive study into living language. Now it's your turn. Go out, meet someone new, and use a feedback loop. Paraphrase one idea. Ask an open question. Record a snippet. Then share your story in the comments below. I can't wait to hear about your top moments and spikes of learning. If you found these strategies helpful, please subscribe, like this video, and comment on which method you will try first. Let's listen, speak, and grow together.